Or if you have it there.
I have it here, but you can put it up too if you want other people to follow along that way.
Okay, what are you doing?
I was going to do the intro.
Okay, let me go back to the intro.
See how far I get with it.
Yeah, that's fine. Somebody's calling. Hold on 1 second. Hello?
Hi, Ruben.
I'm fine.
I'm Carolyn.
That's okay. We're on another Hangout right now. So you can jump in on this one with us and go after these people if you want to. Go onto this screen again and jump in from the link from the 2 to 3 o'clock link. Okay, bye. Okay, so Eric, here, I'll pull it up. And yeah, you won't be able to get through it all. 10 minutes is a really short, brief time, but it's just to give you a chance to kind of practice through it.
Definitely.
All right, let me do this. I will pull this up here. There you go.
Cool.
So that way, I'll follow along. You don't have to say, you can say click if you want to, but I'll just try to follow along with what you're doing so that we know where you are. Use us as your audience, whatever you want to do. I'll put 10 minutes on the clock, and when you hear the bell go off, that's 10 minutes, but you don't have to stop mid-sentence. You can just finish your thought and then end there.
All
right. So whenever you're ready, and you can tell me to click through if you want me to go faster. It's fine.
Okay, so welcome everybody to this Positive Coaching Alliance workshop. First of all, before I get into it, who has been to a Positive Coaching Alliance workshop before? Anyone? Never? No one? All right. Well, today as we get started, I first wanted to introduce myself. My name's Eric Fisher. I graduated from Denison University a couple years ago, and when I was there, I was a swimmer. In those first couple of years, we actually won 2 national championships. And so the reason I got involved with PCA is because I felt, a lot of the reason that we won in those 2 years because of the coaching, and it was, because of how we came together as a team. And a lot of the coaching principles that our coach used will be used in this workshop today. So that's really why I was passionate about getting involved with PCA. But again, I wanted to thank you guys for coming today. Now, before we get started, it is important. We are constantly an evolving, innovative organization. So we do have a text to sign-in process. So if everyone would please just get out your phones. We have a text to sign-in process. And you can text to the number 650-763-2405. And in that, you're going to want to include the number sign or the pound sign, or some people might know it as a hashtag, with the workshop number 25060, and you want to include your first and last name and your email address. So in order to do that, I would love everyone if you could please put up your phone when you're done, and that way you can get credit for beating this. And that would be great. Obviously, people who care about winning and life lessons. So, I'd love to see those people putting up their phones, and we're not going to reward winning in this case, but that's on the better. All right, I see people getting signed in, but I still see Carol signed in. Carol. But I would love you guys to sign in as quickly as possible. All right, now that we've gotten that set out of the way, we're going to move on more towards the concept of the workshop as we get here. So as we move on to the next slide,
okay, Eric, 1 second. I think maybe is your hand over your microphone or something? Because it seems like your microphone's fine until you move your hands down. Just double check.
I don't think so.
Okay, now it's fine.
Better. I can't. But let's see.
It just seems like it's going in and out for some reason. Not sure why, but that's okay.
I wonder if Eric has two. By any chance, do you have 2 microphones open yet?
Are you guys still getting?
It sounds like it's underwater or something.
Well, at first it wasn't an echo, and then when you started the text to sign in, you got the echo. Maybe the rest of us should mute. I wonder if that will help.
It was. I think when you started recording. That's when I started.
Okay.
Let me just check this out on my computer.
I hit pause on your 10 minutes. It's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It just sounds like it's underwater or something. And we lost him.
Steve, try muting your microphone too.
I did try that, and it still kept going. I can do it again because I know the last hangout.
There you go. Now you're muted. It's just hard when he's asking us questions and we all have to unmute. But I think it was on his end.
All right. When his microphone started jumbling and creating problems, I immediately muted my speaker, but it continued to happen. So I don't think it's my speaker.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're good, Eric.
Are we good now?
We're good.
Okay. So on to the Double Go Coach Coaching Forming Life Lesson slide. Just to give you an update about PCA, being a Double Go coach means striving to win and teaching life lessons. So as we get into that, I just wanted you to take a moment and think about a coach. As I was saying, my coach earlier had a huge impact on me. We won, and I continue to talk to him every day. Now, Kelly, Carolyn, Ruben, Steve, I'd love you guys to think for a moment and turn and talk to one another about a coach that had a similar impact on you. If you wouldn't mind taking a couple minutes to think about that, and then we could come back and talk about that. All right, cool. So Kelly, I was curious, as you and Carolyn were talking, if you had an example of a coach who was most impactful in your life, and why that coach was most impactful for you.
Mine was my freshman year college field hockey coach, and she was so impactful because she was just a very upbeat person, used a lot of humor, got to know us as people. It was really important to her that she knew a lot about us, so we did a lot of icebreaker, getting to know you activities, and she spent a lot of time with us outside, off the field. Pizza parties, pool parties, coming to our dorms to just hang out with us. She really wanted to get to know us, and it made a huge impact on me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that, as I said, the coach that I had continues to impact me in what I do today, and it sounds like your coach had a similar impact on you, and really what you're seeing is you still remember that coach from years ago, and so that coach left a very positive legacy with you, and so as we move forward, I think it is important to give you a little bit more information about what we do, but I did want to ask you guys too. When you look at positive coaching and when you look at what that means, we start talking about what it means to be remembered, and how that coach has made an impact. So I was wondering if you guys had any thoughts on what the phrase positive coaching means for you.
I think it means treating people with dignity. Everybody involved, especially the players, but more than just the players. Treating them with dignity and respect. And
okay. Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. You want to make all the athletes feel welcome. You want them, I honestly think a big part of positive coaching has to do with performance too. So really, what our answer becomes is creating an atmosphere, where you do treat them with respect and you do treat them with dignity. But it's an atmosphere, that because of that, it also leads to the best possible performance. And as we move forward and learn more about the power of positive, I just wanted to share with you, a couple of the researchers that have worked with us in the past that have really demonstrated that creating the best possible environment for the best possible performance is backed up by research. The positive approach is one that works really well. So I just wanted to take you to a few of the examples of researchers that support what we do. So the first example, her name is Dr. Barbara Fredrickson, and if you wouldn't mind going towards that slide, Kelly. So Carolyn, could you read that first quote there? You're on mute.
Oh, am I unmute now?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. Where is it? There's a perception. Oops, where did it go? Sorry. I'll bring it up on mine, Kelly. I can't. Yours keeps going in and out. There is a perception, and sorry, I don't know by heart because I'll just go to the slide on my own.
That the best way what you want to get out of employees or players is by negativity or threat. Negativity doesn't work as well as positivity. Positive emotions are especially contagious, and a leader's positive emotions are more contagious than anyone else's. That was Carolyn.
Thank you. I couldn't see it. There's a bar across mine. I can't see the words.
No problem.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you, Kelly, for helping Carolyn finish that through. Teamwork is a big part of what we do, so definitely help your coaches along in that process. So, as Barbara Fredrickson mentioned, there's overwhelmingly positive evidence. Study after study continues to show the benefits of a more positive approach. Our founder was actually cited in an article in Sports Illustrated that talked about several of these studies that continue to demonstrate a more positive approach day in and day out. But really, as we continue to help you along this coaching journey, it's also backed up by some of the best coaches around. So Phil Jackson, he's our national spokesperson. He's done this really for a long time. But we have Steve Kerr. He's in the NBA Finals right now. Brad Stevens is another great NBA coach. And really, all these coaches reinforce and agree with that research that Dr. Fredrickson talks about. We have other researchers, Carol Dweck, who you may know from Stanford University, and so it's a combination. What we do is really working with coaches who are using this stuff on a daily basis, and researchers who have dealt with this in practice as well. Really, elite coaches and research is a core component to what we'll cover in this workshop. And you can see here, you see Steve Kerr, Bruce Bochy, Dusty Baker, Julie Foudy. We have, the list goes on and on for coaches that endorse this positive approach. And really, we talked a lot about what positivity can do, but let's take a moment and really let's look at what negativity does, what the other side of the spectrum is like. And really what it is Charlie Maher. He's a sports psychologist over at the Cleveland Indians. He talks a lot about what negativity does. It takes your mind out of the moment, so away, like he says, away from always the most important play. It distracts you from your task. It doesn't keep you continually motivated, and it's really it leads to fear. It leads to too much pressure. So there's a lot of that going on, and so ultimately, with the research, with the current coaches using these principles, we see how negativity distracts, how positivity works better. So, in your opinion, why is there so much negativity in sports?
It can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. You got two teams that want to win and work hard at it, and you don't always get what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Ruben you're talking about is that win it all cost culture, and really doing.
Sorry, that was me.
No worries. Really, people doing everything that they can to win. Does anyone else have another answer? No? Kelly?
Yeah, we have another answer. We're just thinking. Because another reason is there's negativity because when we watch sports on TV, we see these people making millions and millions of dollars, and they're yelling at each other. They're not always nice to each other and respectful of each other, but they've reached the highest levels, and they're getting paid a lot of money to do what they do.
Yeah, I think that's another.
Okay, that's your time. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. All set?
Yep, we're good. All right, thanks, Eric. It's always fun to go first.
Yeah, a little nerve-wracking and a little out of order at times, but
That's it. That's why it's called practice. Steve, what did you like about what Eric did?
I think he seemed really comfortable with the content.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand the nervous side of it, but I thought he was relaxed and comfortable, and obviously he knows the content. That was clear to me, and he believes in it. And I think his sincerity and passion come through in his communication. So I really enjoyed it. I thought he did a great job.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks. I agree. I think Eric is another one of those people that work for PCA, and we've had a lot of people go through today and do their demos. And I think the difficult part is you do know so much about PCA. How do you pick and choose to share and when? So Eric, I think you did a nice job. I think you're really conversational and you really are relatable to audiences. The one thing that I would probably recommend that just to work on a little bit is to just not feel like I think it was nerves probably, but you felt like you were kind of rushing through stuff, like you were saying it really, really quickly, just to kind of slow down and relax and, stress certain things with different tones in your voice. Your questions were great, so I think you're doing a great job.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly.
That was my suggestion. Ruben?
Eric, you're on your way. You're going to be a fantastic trainer, and I thought you did a nice job of tying slides together, actually, especially once you got into the research and that piece. I thought you had nice transition. So hey, I think I want to make one suggestion. You show. I've seen a side of your personality on Facebook that I don't see anywhere else, and I'm sure your friends see it, but your sense of humor and even the language that you use on Facebook, in talking about sports, I love what I see right now. By the way, you got this little smile on your face.
Yeah, I'm pleased for that. Yeah.
And you got to show that as a trainer. What I see right now. But I'm just wondering, Eric, if your natural sense of humor and playfulness that I see on Facebook, if you can work it in.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think you're showing us your full self as a trainer, at least not in this 10 minutes, Sure. You're not showing us your full personality, and I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Keenan Big went earlier today, and he did not crack a smile or a joke until like 8 minutes in.
Isn't that Keenan's,
Like that's
he's
nothing but good.
all funny, and I was like, wow, it was a different persona. And I said, I think you can connect more to audiences if you're true to who you are. So I got to be friends with you on Facebook, Eric. I got to see this other side
Yeah,
of you.
I gotta send you a friend request.
All right, Steve. Larry's not on. So are you okay to go next?
I am. I have a question. My screen is completely black, and so all I'm seeing are the headshots of people as they speak. They pop up. Is that the way it's supposed to be?
You're actually supposed to see yourself. Usually when you're talking, you see you.
Okay.
Whoever's speaking is usually big on the big screen.
Okay. So I'm usually seeing whoever's talking. Like right now, your picture is up there. So perhaps as I begin to speak, now Eric's picture is up there, but perhaps as I begin to speak, it will pop up. I just wasn't sure if it was like the previous chats where we saw each other throughout. So
yeah, right now when you're speaking, you're up on the big screen. Now when I'm talking, it's picking up the PowerPoint because that's what's on my screen.
Can you see me live, or are you just seeing a picture?
No, I see you live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of weird because I can't see myself live.
That's really strange. I don't know why. You would think that the camera would work both ways. If we can see you, you should be able to see.
I'm not sure why the light's on next to my camera, but oh well.
What section are you going to be doing for us today?
I'm sorry?
What section are you going to be doing for us today?
I picked the Elm Tree of Mastery. Is that okay?
That's great. Yep.
So should I just jump into it?
If you're ready, I'll move. I don't know if you can see the slides. I'll move the slides up to the Elm Tree of Mastery just for our sake. But if you have the slides there in front of you, that's fine.
I'm going to pop them up.
Okay.
And Does that mess things up at all?
No.
No? Okay.
What
So
you-
I have them up.
Okay.
I'm sorry?
Can you see us now?
No.
Okay.
I can't see anyone anyhow.
Then you're fine. And assume that we're all smiling and being a very receptive audience.
I'll picture that. Sounds
Yes.
good.
We're all
right,
raising our hands when you ask us a question.
I'm sorry?
I said we're all raising our hands when you ask us a question.
All right. So I'll do my best here. I have had little preparation time. It's been a crazy week with tryouts over the last 2 weeks. Plus, I'm doing camp, so I'm a little swamped. But we'll see how this goes, and hopefully, yeah. So I wanted to talk today a little bit about the Positive Coaching Alliance's Elm Tree of Mastery, and this is an acronym that we use at PCA to describe some attributes that we look for in athletes as they go about their preparation and training. The acronym stands for effort, learning, and mistakes. And one of the things we try to do is we try to get our athletes to believe that they can become better through effort, and that effort is much more valuable than talent. And so one of the ways that we talk about this is we have to become observers and noticers, if you will, of an athlete's effort, and we have to communicate that to them. We have to tell them how much we appreciate it, and I think more importantly than that is even we have to show them that we appreciate it in ways that convince them that we're sincere and honest about it. For instance, noticing when your athletes in training are working extra hard and complimenting them on that effort, talking to them after a contest, and despite the outcome or result of the contest, letting them know that their effort in that particular event was appreciated and valuable, versus oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but sometimes, if we can win a contest without putting forth the effort, I think sometimes that leaves us with a little bit of a shallow feeling. At least it does with me. And so I like to talk about that with my athletes so that they begin to get a real sense of what this effort really means and how important it is. And I think if we can move our athletes towards this end, they become much more accountable in terms of what they're trying to do and how they're competing. So in the PCA model, under the Elm Tree of Mastery, we have a couple definitions of performance, and one is a scoreboard definition, and the other is the mastery definition. And in the scoreboard definition of performance, things tend to be a little bit more results-driven. They have to do with comparing ourselves to others in terms of how we perform, saying things like, well, you know, I can do this better than that person or whatever. And oftentimes, from a coaching perspective, mistakes are not tolerated. And even last night, talking to some young athletes about their experience in a previous program where they said they were taught to work really hard, but when they made mistakes, they got yelled at. And I thought, okay, that's a problem. And oftentimes in our current sports culture, because everyone is paying so much money nowadays, the shift has gone to results so that we can justify that expense. And oftentimes that leads us down the wrong path. Under the mastery definition, anxiety can go down, confidence will go up. We talk not about the result, but about the effort. We talk about being able to make mistakes without being punished or without being berated. Mistakes are okay. I love to tell the story about working with 6-year-old children, and oftentimes I think a lot of us know that when we first introduce athletics to children at a young age, 4 or 5 years old, we try to play a real game with them, whether it's basketball or soccer or hockey or whatever. And I personally believe that's too young. But what I like to do is when I introduce a one-ball game, I try to wait until children are around 6 years old. And I tell the children in their first experience not to pass the ball, not to kick it. And I'm talking about soccer right now. I tell them to dribble it and not to pass it at all. And the intent is to get them to be comfortable with the ball and also to learn to understand that it's okay if you can't dribble past someone. If you lose the ball, that's not a problem. And what ends up happening is the children become comfortable with making mistakes. They're reinforced with the notion that it's okay to make a mistake, and they're also willing to try things and not have this fear of failure. And when you do that, you're increasing the ability for children to buy into what they're doing. The development of passion becomes easier. They have a better sense of control of the event, and they tend to work at it a lot better. So this mastery definition definitely has proved to work much better versus the scoreboard definition of mastery. And so the other part of this of this equation is the mistakes, and I talked a little bit about the willingness to make mistakes, but there's also a component when we start talking about mistakes where we'd like to teach our athletes to have a mechanism or a trigger that allows them to forget about their mistake very quickly, not to dwell on it, not to lose confidence, but to get it out of their system and forget about it and move on in a positive way. And we can call it, flushing it out ritual or whatever it might be. But I've heard of many different examples where coaches have a mechanism where their athletes, after they have a mistake, they quickly have a ritual where, it could be anything that allows them to forget about what that mistake is, move on, and focus on the next play. And so I think it's important that we set that tone with our athletes as well when we start talking about strategies for dealing with mistakes. I'm sorry about that, but I'm in my office and no one is here and my phone is ringing. So if I could, I'll stop with that. And I know that's not 10 minutes. That's probably about 4 minutes, but
no, it's about 7.
Okay.
No, I know it's tough when I'm sure you're the kind of person that likes to over-prepare, so I'm sure it's hard to feel like you're not as prepared. I thought you did a nice job, though. Eric, what did you like about what Steve did in that short time?
Yeah, I think Steve, you do a really good job of talking about the content as in a very matter-of-fact way that I think really hits home, with me and with the audience. The other thing I thought you did really well, I thought your example of dribbling and mistakes was a really good example. I really liked that, and I was on edge, waiting for the next part of that story. So that was great. The one thing that I would say in terms of feedback was just engaging the audience. It was definitely, I know there are some parts of the workshop where you do have to just get through the material, but I think a really nice way to engage the audience would have been to ask, hey, what's the difference between scoreboard and mastery, and sort of get the audience involved in that way.
Right. Thanks. That's good point.
Yeah.
I felt a little disconnected because obviously I can't see anyone or anything like that, so it's a little bit different, and I think combined with the lack of preparation, and it just made it a little bit awkward. But I think a couple things. Eric brings out a good point, and that is to engage the audience. And obviously, in front of an audience, I feel a little bit more comfortable, and I'm able to get a little bit closer to the audience in terms of a back and forth engagement. So that will probably help a little bit just to be in front of a live audience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing. I think the material, just getting the material with more practice, getting the material in line with the PowerPoint, and then being able to bring in every time that you want to tell the audience something. Not every time, but a lot of times, if you just put it out to the audience for questions, I think you'll get a lot better responses, and then you can take their answers and go from there and build on that, or have the audience, discuss something together. I think your examples are great. You bring up the example of you with 6-year-olds. Okay, now, everyone turn to a partner. How would you handle this with a little bit older kids? What's a way that you would focus on mastery, maybe with 10-year-olds or with 15-year-olds? Or, I like to do that. I like to break people up into groups by ages of the kids they coach, because the answers are different, but it's the same concept. So that's what I would challenge you to do, Steve. I think content-wise, you feel it. I can tell you have passion and you understand the material, and it's just a matter of practicing it to get it to flow.
Right. Yeah, I think another easy one would be to ask the audience, what would you describe as your definition of the scoreboard approach versus the mastery approach, and try to get them to think a little bit about that and build on it. So yeah, there's a lot of things I can do there to engage the audience. Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, thanks guys. I appreciate it. I will put the sign-up sheet out so you guys can sign up for a time to do 20 minutes for the final, and you'll be able to get through a whole principle in that time.
And that's it. I just cover one principle in that time.
And I usually like to say, if you could just add in a little personal thing in the beginning, kind of like you did, like I went just a little bit of your background, and then the rest of the time is for the principle. And we'll try to get your visual worked out, Steve, so you can actually see us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you want, I'll have all the links to all the Hangouts. So prior to yours, if you want to try to click in on another one just to see if you can get the camera
okay.
right, that would be fine.
That sounds good.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kelly.
Bye-bye. Thank you.